I'm traveling through one of the most unusual border areas in the world. Most people come to this region for one thing, that. But there's so much more to this region that first meets the eye. Welcome to Niagara Falls! The Niagara River flows between the Great Lakes of Erie and Ontario and forms a 36-mile border zone between the US and Canada. From my base in Niagara Falls, New York, I'll embark on multiple day trips covering both sides of the border. On the American side, I'll visit Fort Niagara, Lewiston, and the Whirlpool. On the Canadian side, I'll visit the town of Niagara Falls and the Niagara Glen and Botanical Gardens before finishing in the charming town of Niagara-on-the-Lake. Why is this city called Buffalo?
I think it's an Indian native name and not the animal. After that, they use the animal, to drive the city.
Is it good area for live or not?
It's yes, it's okay.
It's okay.
New York City is expensive. Maybe Buffalo is cheaper.
Way cheaper, but it's affordable to live. Enough to live. You buy a house for $100,000. These houses here so small, 150, 175.
From your window.
And even in the small towns we have traffic.
It's very cold on the winter, yeah? The business is going only on the... You need to make a lot of money in few months.
Yeah. That's what people say. You work a lot of hours. I say, I have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, in winter time, sleeping.
And now where you live?
In Buffalo.
Buffalo. Where is better, in Buffalo or here?
No, Buffalo, way bigger city. Buffalo is the second largest city.
Yeah, it's like more job, yeah?
And better school for my kids.
Yeah,
because here, school is very bad.
The factory, yeah, everything was nice. And when they closed...
1900. Buffalo was one of the richest city in the United States. A lot of job, a lot of people come from Europe, South America, even Africa. But 1970s, 80s, they started closing here too. A lot of job was. In the 90s, people moved south.
Where you came from?
I am from my mother.
Not from mother, but what country?
I'm from Middle East, Jordan.
Jordan, okay.
Yasser from Yemen.
Oh, really?
Oh.
He's from the old civilization.
Pick up in United States money from the trees.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we'll just take pictures from your taxi.
Nice and safe.
It is nice. We're not gonna go further. Do góry trzeba, nie na dół.
We've just arrived in Niagara Falls, and this is probably not the stereotypical tourist town you probably expected. The town's origins actually date all the way back to the 17th century, when the first Europeans began to settle this area. The original settlement was burned to the ground by the British in the War of 1812. And the present-day city we see was incorporated in 1892. Not long after, a large influx of immigrants began arriving from Europe and Asia to work in manufacturing, which at the time was a bigger industry than tourism. But by the 1960s, the collapse of the manufacturing industry had caused the population to drop from 102,000 residents to just 48,000, who continue to survive thanks to an incredible natural wonder called Niagara Falls. But the city's high crime rate means few tourists take the opportunity to explore beyond its majestic falls.
D-U-M-B, everyone's a kid of men. D-U-M-B, everyone's a kid of men.
Constructed between 1847 and 1873, the St. Mary of the Cataract Roman Catholic Church is the oldest building in Niagara Falls. And the church's name, cataract, actually comes from a Latin word that describes the type of waterfall that Niagara is.
Też nie jest ładnie się robi.
Wiem. And just 2 blocks away is the St. Peter's Episcopal Church, constructed in 1873. Yeah, I honestly kind of like this one better. Yeah, I actually feel like I'm in the English countryside.
Welcome to Niagara Falls in New York.
Well, the area has long been inhabited by Native Americans. The first European to sight the falls was this man right here, a Belgian explorer and missionary named Louis Hennepin, who arrived in 1678.
More than 2 centuries later.
Another European by the name of Nikola Tesla was the help of George Westinghouse would invent the first hydroelectric telescope in Niagara Falls and revolutionized the region. And what many historians regard as his greatest achievement. Much to the dismay of his biggest rival, Thomas Edison. Throughout its history, the falls have also attracted hordes of daredevils. And the section of Harriet Tubman's famous Underground Railroad also passed through here. Yeah, here we have a list of all the tribes in the area, the Iroquois Confederacy, and here are some of their artifacts. Yeah, they're often credited with inventing the sport of lacrosse and inspiring U.S. political system.
Officer required enlisted men to sleep on hard pine boards. A te krzesło to jest oryginalne, co używali do tego, zobacz, przeczytam. Do negotiation używali. Tu jest ten... Niagara wiedza, to tutaj sobie
And here are some corn husk dolls, and these right here are the region's traditional apple dolls, typical to this region right here. And what they would do is they would actually wait for their apples to shrivel up, and then they would actually make these dolls out of them. Pretty cool. Yeah, for some reason they have Edison but not Tesla. Today, the US and Canada proudly boast of having the longest stretch of peaceful and undefended border in the world, but that wasn't always the case. For 2.5 years, this region was the site of some of the most pivotal moments of the War of 1812, a dispute between the US and Britain which ignited over a dispute over trading rights with the French, as well as fear by the natives to the Northwest Territories' U.S. expansion. Two of the most important generals were Joseph Wilcox, a defector from Upper Canada who led the Americans, and General Isaac Brock, who headed the Brits and Canadians, who were assisted by a small army of black royalists who had actually petitioned Brock to start their own unit. During this time, it was actually common for Native Americans to ally with both the British and the Americans. And what's really amazing is that a lot of the times when the British, Americans, and their other allies would surrender or abandon their posts, the natives were actually often the last ones who would stay behind and continue to fight and defend the local population. So that's sort of an important piece of history that's often forgotten. But were it not for them, our borders might look very different today. In the area just upriver also served as a front line during the Patriot War of 1838, a series of uprisings in Upper and Lower Canada which saw the small Navy island briefly captured by separatists who had proclaimed their own Canadian Republic. Yeah, I normally avoid wax museums at all costs because they have a reputation for being tourist traps, but this one is a wax museum with a unique and interesting twist. Oh wow, and this is it. We've arrived at the world famous Niagara Falls, a series of 3 spectacular waterfalls straddling the border between New York in the US and Ontario in Canada. Though their combined height of 167 feet doesn't rank them among the highest waterfalls in the world, they do hold the record for having the highest flow rate of any waterfall in North America, with 5.9 million cubic feet of water gushing over its crest every minute, the equivalent of 1 million bathtubs. They also proudly hold the title of being the most famous waterfalls on Earth. So it's easy to see why. Look at this. as the Niagara River, not formed nearly 12,000 years ago. The river connects Lake Erie to Lake Ontario, and despite being just 36 miles long, 3/4 of North America's surface water passes through it. Some places creating 42-mile-an-hour rapids, some of the most extreme, intense, and fastest on Earth.
Chodź, ci zrobię przy napisie.
We've crossed the bridge to Goat Island. In this area we're exploring as part of the oldest state park in the nation, established in 1885. What's great about it is there's no fee for pedestrians to just visit the overlook.
Niagara Falls is a nice city. I used to live here, work here, you know what I mean?
And what does it feel like to live in a place that so many people want to visit?
Unless if you have a business here.
Yeah.
Visit is nice, you know?
Right behind me is the statue of the famous Yugoslavian-born inventor Nikola Tesla.
Maybe he changed his mind.
One thing to take note of is the little kiosks refuse to take cash payment. For whatever reason, almost all the restaurants in this area serve Indian food, but I managed to find this nice Filipino restaurant. First time eating Filipino food. Yeah, it's actually one of the better Asian restaurants I've tried. So our cab driver told us not to go into the residential areas, but you know what?
Tam ktoś nie wylazł z garażu, nie utrze. Daj, zrobić zdjęcie przy tym. Też ładna męczy, już tutaj to No tu jak widzę, jak tam zawiewa.